Welcome to my Geeking Out presentation on Learn with Homer. Throughout this presentation, I plan on sharing with you the benefits of this learning app and how I plan to integrate this app within my own classroom in the near future. So with technology being ever-changing and is constantly inserting itself more and more into the education world, many educators are trying to find more creative ways to incorporate these different forms of technology within their own classrooms. And by doing so, they don't want just to reiterate what's being already taught in the classroom, but they want to enhance students' learning even further. So my purpose for this Geeking Out assignment was to find an app that not only went over what we've already talked about in the classroom, but it expanded on it as well. So my purpose was to find a reading app that would pertain to grades pre-K through first grade and would focus on different reading skills, so reading fundamentals and reading concepts. Not only was I seeking out just a reading app, but I also was looking for one that provided differentiation for different reading levels, because with being a first grade teacher, all of my students are at various stages in their reading. So I wanted to find an app that would benefit all of my students and not just a few. So Learn with Homer caught my eye right away, with the website already pointing out on the front of the page that it is the #1 reading app and that this program has shown an increase in early literacy scores by 74%. So that's a pretty high number, so that caught my eye. Another selling point is that this app is free for educators to use and can hold up to 30 students under one teacher account. So this would be appropriate for most classrooms because most teachers have between 20 and 30 students. Learn with Homer is also very student-friendly and is easy for students to use and navigate. So that was another concept that I was looking for in an app, because in first grade they're still exploring technology and learning the basics at this point. And one huge bonus with this app is that students are able to excel at their own pace through this differentiation component. So that was pretty great. So at this point in the presentation, I am going to show you how to set up an account on Learn with Homer and how to get your students started. So first you want to go on Google and you want to type in Learn with Homer. And then I put educator, or reading and educational games. And then you're going to click on this top one right up here. Alright, so it's going to bring you to this page, and as you can see, it shows that there's an educator tab right up here, so you can click that. And right here it shows again that it's free for educators, which is awesome. So get started for free. So here's where you'll put in your teacher email address, your password, your first name, last name, type of class that you teach. So it shows all the early childhood grades, and then who you are, your school, your district name, city, state, zip code, and phone number, and then you click Let's Learn. So I already have an account, so I'm going to sign up on that. Or sign in on that. I'm just going to type my Alright, so I am logged into my account, my teacher account, and this is where you can start putting in your own students and getting them set up. So right here you can put their first name, last name, their age, and then you can choose whether or not you want parents to be able to use this site with their child at home. That's up to you. I haven't allowed that just yet, but I plan on doing so when I have put in all of my students. So right here I made a a fake student, Sally Smith, and you can choose if you want to add a picture. That's up to you. This will enable family access, and then step by step you can turn it on or off. I turned it on because, like this says, they just recommend it because it keeps your child or the student on the correct path to make sure they follow the progression of the lessons correctly. So what's nice on this profile page, for each student, it has a gallery, a place where you can edit them, so you can delete, or you can change, tweak things if you maybe made a mistake on something, and then gallery. So this is where, as a teacher, you can track their progress. So it shows all the levels. There's 22 levels in Learn with Homer, and then it has lessons like units down here as well. So if you want to track students' progress, you can come here, and this will show for level 1 all the skills that they learned. And as of right now, Sally hasn't mastered any of these skills just yet. There'll be a little mark up here to show when they have mastered. So let me take a look at Dozier. That was another one I created. So we'll go back to lesson 1, and right here there's a check mark. So it shows that Dozier had mastered that skill, lesson 1. So what's also nice about each of the levels is there are printables that the teacher or a parent can print off to have them practice, like handwriting, coloring pages, like little puzzles, all sorts of things. So if you want to reteach, you can. It's up to you. So then also, there's a gallery here, so it shows any of their like drawings or work, some great stories that they can read, and then a write and draw area as well. So there's coloring pages, different stories, different topics, all sorts of things. So I'm going to go ahead and go to play. So I am on the Dozier account.
Songs and rhymes.
And as you can see, it's really colorful and interactive, and it's very engaging for the students. So up here, you can go to teacher settings, you can go full screen, switching users, mute music, which is what I'm going to do because it's kind of loud, even though it's very fun.
Art.
Oh. And then there are the different activities that you can do within Learn with Homer. So on this main page, there's several different categories that a student can choose from. There's art down here, which is where they can paint and draw, songs and rhymes, where they can listen to songs and different poems, and they have like little stories, pictures to go with it. There's Read to Learn down here, which goes over all the reading fundamentals. And then we have Discover the World, which pulls in different units, science and social studies, social skills. There's Story Time, so they can listen to stories at this part of the
Story
program.
Time.
And then First Readers. These are stories that the child can learn to read. And this is actually very neat because in this part of the program, if I click on it, and I were to do this story, it starts with the short A sound called Tap the Mat. And
Tap the mat. Can I read a story out loud? I hope I can. Can you? I know you can. I'll go first.
so you can allow your microphone to be used.
First, practice reading the words. If you don't know a word, press the word for help. P, A, T, cat. When you're ready, press the green button to record. Press the red button when you're done.
So it's really neat as children or and students can press the microphone and they can record themselves reading each word, and then they can listen to it as well. So that's pretty fun and interactive and a component that I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and head back. And then at the end there's brain games like memory and all sorts of other activities. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, Learn with Homer can track the progress of up to 30 students. So I'm going to talk a little bit about after you've added a student to your class roster. This program has you take a little interest survey on each individual student. So it asks the student's name, age, their interests, academic skills, like letter recognition and sounds, rhyming words, and phonemic awareness. So taking the answers from this interest survey, then this app places each student at a stage in the program that's appropriate to them and their reading level. So it really personalizes their own reading path. So this program also goes through all the reading fundamental skills, and with all of these skills, it really helps the child pull everything together to learn how to read. This app mixes up a bunch of different activities so the students don't get bored of the same activity. This app includes games, stories that they can listen to, stories that are about making friends in social situations, so it pulls in other content areas, letter writing and drawing pictures, and comprehension quizzes and sight word games. So there is a lot that this app has to offer. This app can be used on an iPad, a phone, or a computer or laptop. So there are a lot of different devices that you can use this on. The one con that I found with this app is that there's no fluency component. And the other con was that it doesn't track the students' comprehension quizzes at the end of specific activities. So those were two things I wish it did have, but it does still offer a lot, which is why I really like this app. So right up here also is this little character, the student's character, and they earn points throughout, they earn pickles throughout the levels that they've completed, and then they can use their points to decorate their character, change their color, and it's just a fun way to get the students motivated to continue throughout each level. So I'm going to go ahead and click Read to Learn.
Learn to read.
Or Learn to Read, excuse me. Just to kind of show what the path looks like and the different activities. So here it starts with like a sound activity, and then it goes into a story. And then
Reading.
And then there's a couple other sound reviews, like sight words, and then matching, different games. So it mixes it up throughout, as you can see. And then there's level 2. So when the student finishes one level, they move on to the next. So one more thing I'd like to point out in this first video is that this app not only helps children learn to read, but it also integrates other content areas through the stories. So in this Discover the World tab, it shows children different like nonfiction stories, and it helps build their vocabulary through history and science lessons. And then it has a comprehension check also offered at the end of each story, which is pretty neat, and it's also very enjoyable. So that's all for this part of the first video. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how I plan on integrating this reading app into my own classroom setting.